All right, let's do chapter 10. Let me find, I misspelled slides on the document, so it's going to say slids. That happens. All right, let's go to slideshow. Start. Protecting yo property. More insurance. Property insurance. What is it? Is it important? Of course it's important. Of course I'm going to say it's important. Insurance coverage. What's property insurance? Insurance is coverage that protects real, meaning like real estate type stuff, and personal property from catastrophic losses caused by a variety of perils. We'll get into what perils are, such as that's just basically the cause of a loss, such as fire, theft, vandalism, windstorms. What's liability insurance? Liability insurance is insurance that protects against the financial consequences that may arise from an insured's responsibility for property loss or injuries to others. So once again, liability insurance is like, if you did something that that resulted in property loss, or somebody was not inconvenienced, but any type of loss because of something that someone else did. Peril, like we said before, that's just a cause of a loss. What is the peril? You can have there's insurance. You can have some insurance policies and say covers all perils, meaning everything possible it can cover. You want to know a good thing of like what perils are? Those are those farmers insurance commercials. We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. You felt like you were just there in a commercial. All those odd things that happen that farmers will cover are called perils. But I take that back. Who knows if they did cover them? They said they covered them, but it probably depended if they had that type of an all perils coverage for that policy. Negligence, just failing to act in a reasonable manner or to take necessary steps to protect others from harms. If you do not act in a responsible way, a reasonable manner, then you are negligent. You don't want to be negligent. A lot of times when there's a lawsuit or something that happens, because you can sue for anything. You go to law school and they give you some outrageous case and they say, can this person sue? The answer is yes, you can sue. Everybody can sue, can pursue any type of legal remedies that they want. Whether or not you can win that's a different case. But sometimes when they're going to sue, you're going to say, how was the person that they're suing? How were they negligent? Did they do something obviously negligent that caused the loss for another person? Principle of indemnity. I think I talked about this before. Really important word: indemnity or indemnification. And that's basically the whole purpose of insurance, essentially, is an insurance principle stating that an insured may not be compensated by the insurance company in any amount exceeding the insured's economic loss. Okay, you can try to sue somebody for more, but the purpose of an insurance company is to indemnify or to make you whole from that loss. So if you are in a car accident and you have, your car is damaged and there's $4,000 worth of damage, you should be indemnified for $4,000 worth of damage. If you go to the hospital and you are out of pocket, another $3,000 or something like that, then you should be paid $3,000. If you want to go anything above that, then that's not the insurance. That's not the purpose of that policy. You can try to sue for more than that, but the purpose of insurance is to indemnify or to make people whole. And technically, if you're really rich and you're really wealthy, you don't really need insurance because you can pay for that. You can pay for everything yourself. If you are some LeBron James, do you really need automobile insurance? Probably not. You're worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you need an automobile insurance that's going to cover you up to, $300,000 or $500,000 for this damage? You can just cut a check. But why do that with your own money when you could have somebody else do that for you and protect you? ACV, it's a big one, actual cash value. I think we talked about this earlier. But that's just the value assigned to an insured's property that is determined by subtracting the amount of physical depreciation from the replacement cost. So that means if you, if you get the actual cash value of what that item is worth today, not from what it was worth when you bought it. Everything's going to depreciate. Not everything. There are, certain types of collectibles and collectible cards and certain items that do appreciate in value. But for the most part, you're going to get the actual cash value of what that item is worth today. How do they determine that? There are many different ways to do that. They can actually see what are some comp or comparable prices for an item. And there's some just have like just kind of depreciation tables, depreciation. They can figure out what that item is now worth. Right of subrogation. This is interesting. The right of the insurer who has paid an insured's claim to request reimbursement from either the person who caused the loss or that person's insurer. So let's say you have insurance and your limits are not that high, meaning you said, I'm just going to do 1530. Don't do 1530 on your insurance. That is the absolute minimum you can do on insurance, because that's what it was when they started having, when they started, it was like back in the 60s and 70s, and $15,000 for medical expenses went someplace. $15,000 in property damage, $30,000 in medical expenses. That actually was decent at one point, but now it's nothing. So let's say you have insurance and you have lower limits set. You go over that limit, then the insurance company has a right to subrogate to try to see if they can get any money on top of that. So that's basically built in your policy. So you kind of have to know that and be aware of that. Comprehensive policy, property and liability insurance policy covering all perils unless they are specifically included. So that's a comprehensive policy. So most likely those farmers insurance commercials that they paid out, those people had comprehensive policies. They listed all the perils unless they were excluded. Named peril policy, meaning property and liability insurance policy that individually names the perils covered. They'll tell you, it'll list all of the possible causes of a loss that it will cover. Which one do you think it's going to cost more, the comprehensive or the named peril? The comprehensive is going to cost way more. It's going to cost more, not way more. It's good, but it will cost more. And sometimes you'll be stunned at how little the jump up in coverage. If you increase your coverage limits, you think, oh my gosh, if I increase my coverage limits from 100,000 to 300,000. Logically, it's going to cost 3 times as much. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just pennies a month. So get quotes. Because I used to have an insurance office. My advice for you in insurance is get quotes as often as you can, because if you don't, you're stealing money from yourself. But no, when you do that, you fill out paperwork, you fill out anything online. As soon as you put your information in there, your phone number, they're gonna call you. That's their job, is to call you. They're gonna call you as much as you can. So maybe put a fake phone number, but then a real email, because they will definitely call you. They're dialing in for dollars. That's their job. They're dialing for leads. And then every time you fill out information for insurance quotes, that information goes to one source, and then that will be sold to another company, to another company, to another company, to another company. That's kind of how it works. And those companies, all those people pay for leads. And once you do that, you've given them approval. You've approved that somewhere in by checking the I agree. You've agreed to that. So just be aware of that. Replacement costs. That's the amount necessary to repair, rebuild, or replace an asset at today's price. So that's just basically replacement cost. That's imagine if you're going to get like in a house, for example, somebody throws a bowling ball. Somebody throws a bowling ball through your wall, and it damages the wall and then breaks your TV. Essentially, your TV most likely will be that's kind of an actual cash value. Most likely how it's going to be works an actual cash value for the TV, what that TV is worth today. Then they'll give you some money for that. But then to replace the wall or repair that wall, it'll be like more of a replacement cost scenario. Renter's insurance. This is really important. Renter's insurance. Renter's insurance. What does it cover? It covers direct loss, Indirect loss in additional expenses. So basically, if something there was a loss, not meaning you lost something, but there was an economic loss that is direct. If somebody, if somebody, if you're robbed, obviously, that would be taken care of. If somebody trips and falls and they want to file a claim against you, that can happen. If there's a fire and the place burns down, you can get, some, you can get compensated for that. And the additional expenses thing is important. Let's say for example, this is how renter's insurance and property insurance works. If your car gets broken into, right, somebody smashes your window and steals all the stuff out of your car, you would not, your auto insurance covers the damage to the car itself. Okay, because that's what the insurance is for. Auto insurance is for any damage related to the car. So if somebody broke into your car, smashed the window, took anything out of there, your auto insurance is going to cover the damage to the car. If they stole a bunch of stuff, they stole your laptop, they stole your backpack, they stole your school books, they stole some whatever you had in there, that would be covered under your renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance. So it covers the contents in your car, or renters or homeowners insurance, but not the damage under the cars under your auto insurance. Belongings when you travel. Let's say you're traveling and you lose your laptop, you lose or say it's stolen. That can be covered by renters insurance, homeowners insurance. Let's say, for example, you're living in an apartment and you have renters insurance, you have homeowners insurance, or you're renting a house, you own a house, and your house burns down or there's a flood and it's damaged. Your living expenses while you have to move out because of the peril can be taken care of on your renter's insurance. And some policies are up to a year. You see these scenarios where people live in these fire zones and they have these. And by the way, that's the biggest cause or biggest cause of loss or peril for state of California are fires. People think that homeowners insurance costs a lot in the state of California because of earthquakes. No, it's fires. Fire damage is the biggest contributor for increase in policies in homeowners policies. So yeah, but let's say you're in a fire zone, you have and your house is burned down. If you have the proper coverage, you can be compensated for the contents in your house or wherever you're living, or your apartment, and your living expenses as you when you have to move out. So it's really, really, really important to get renter's insurance. Automobile policy coverages. There's Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. Part A is your liability coverage. C is going to be your medical payments. B is going to be medical payments. C is going to be your uninsured motorist, and D is going to be coverage for damage to your vehicle. Usually see like something like I usually go like 100, 300, 5, whatever it is. I can't remember what they are anymore. But here's what I would do. I would always match the uninsured to people inside your go higher than 1530. Don't do 15 and 30. And when you see the difference of like on Part D, your coverage for damage to your vehicle, and I would always match A to, I think it was D, because A and C and D, because what you're saying if you're not matching it is that you care more about somebody who's not in your car or somebody who's in your car, and get those quotes from those people when you're doing it to see the difference in the rates. You'd be shocked at how much if you increase some of the limits, how much it doesn't go up on some of these things. A common one for your deductibles, like windshields. Sometimes windshields, those can cost $200-300. So maybe on one that your deductible for your property damage, instead of doing that for like $500, do that for about $250. So you don't have to pay that much out of pocket for windshields. But that does increase your premium a little bit. Or premium is just a fancy way of saying your payment. Comprehensive automobile insurance coverage that protects against loss of an insured automobile caused by any peril, with a few exceptions, other than collision. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I'm going to give you some little kind of tips here about how to save on your automobile insurance. Here's the rating factors for your premiums. One, their territory. Where you live can change. Your zip code can change your rates. If you live in an area where there's a lot of people living there, and there's a lot of either theft or there's a lot of accidents, that could increase your premiums or your payments. So that contributes a lot to your rates. Use of automobile, the mileage, how much you drive is one of the biggest factors for your premiums, because every time those wheels turn, you mathematically are more likely to get into an accident than if the car is stationary, essentially. So for every mile you drive, the probability of you getting in an accident and the insurance company having to pay out for you increases. So the less miles you drive, the less your insurance can be. You can always say to the insurance company, put you down for, they'll ask you how much you drive. I think the average is like 12 to 15,000 miles a year. You can go for a low amount, but then what they'll do is they'll ask you to verify, do a mileage verification. So just know that those kind of things do happen. Driver's license or driver's personal characteristics: age, sex, marital status, accidents. This is kind of some a little bit of some inside information. But first of all, you cannot. It says age. You cannot discriminate or give people different rates based on their age. People think that you can, but you cannot. That's not true. What happens is that you can give people different rates based on how long they've been driving. So let's say you've been driving for 2 years, you got your license at 16, and you're 18, you're going to pay more than somebody who's been driving for 20 years, right? Technically, there are people who get their license later, or they move here to this country later, and you might have somebody who's 52 years old and got their license last year, and they should be paying the same amount as somebody who got their license at like 16 or 17. But so that's the big thing, is you can't discriminate or have people pay more based on their age, but it is on how long they've been driving. That's how the insurance companies do it. Sex. Unfortunately, men have to pay a little bit more for insurance, because men traditionally are a little more reckless behind the wheel. That's just what it is. Is it fair? Probably not, but it's accurate and it's true. So marital status. This is a big one. You can save a little bit of money on your insurance because the insurance companies will look, and is this right? Is this wrong? I don't know. It's not up for me to determine or decide it. But you can, if you are married, then you look like you're more responsible. If you're more responsible, then you should be, you probably have less accidents. So that's a big one. So you can save a little bit of money. So if you're single, you might pay a little bit more. So when I had my office, what we would do, we would just put them down, divorced. They're never going to check. They're never going to ask for your divorce papers, and they're never ask for a marriage certificate or anything like that. If you just check the box divorced, it shows that you were married at one point and somewhat responsible. You could have been married at 18 and got divorced, 3 weeks later. That's just what it is. And it's an uncomfortable conversation that nobody's going to want to have with you. So, and accidents. If you're in accidents, have a lot of accidents, that's obviously going to increase your premiums and how much you're going to pay, because you're more of a risk. And but here's the thing: it's right now there's never been a better time to be poor, because you can get a really nice car for a decent amount. You can get a really nice TV for a decent amount, and if you have made some questionable decisions, or you've lost your license, or you've been in an accident, you can always Uber too. It's like, and that was always the thing that everybody hold over you is like, if you got a DUI or had your license suspended, all that stuff, that you're going to pay so much more in insurance, which you will. I think now you can kind of, instead of paying all that money for a certain period of time, you can kind of sit out for a while and just Uber and let that time lapse. So, and then your driving record. If you get a ticket, go to traffic school. Do it. You don't have to go to traffic school. You can do those, even though I think it's kind of fun. Funish. And then you can do this online really quick, really fast. Earthquake insurance. Very few people carry this because of the high deductible of the replacement cost. So basically, you get your earthquake insurance. Let's say your house is worth $1 million and it's destroyed. Your deductible for that would be 15% of the total value loss. So it'll be about $150,000. So it's just really cost prohibitive. But fire, like I said, fires is the biggest reason that homeowners insurance is expensive in California. Flood insurance, it's available in designated communities, usually subjected to flood damage. There's not a lot of areas in Southern California you can get flood damage, but I know one of the ways you can something be considered a flood. Let's say you had water damage to your house and it's just your house. Most likely you can't get any flood insurance. However, if there's damage to your house and a neighbor, then you can kind of prove like, okay, there was a water situation related to a flood. If you have multiple water claims for your house, that does not look good, because water claims, water damage, that leads to mold and many other type of issues. So you don't want to have too many water claims on your house. It can be tough to get insurance, and then when you sell that house, you have to disclose that when you're selling the house, because there could be issues with black mold and that type of damage. Types of insurance agents. No, there's independent. They can place coverage with any company he or she has an agency relationship, as long as the insured meets the underwriting standards. That means I was a captive agent, which is horrible to do. Well, not always. I mean, if you buy into a good book, that's fine. But if you have to start from scratch, you start, you have to find all your customers. That can be really challenging. Independent, they can work with many different companies. It'd be kind of like, it's like a Grubhub. You can get go on Grubhub and you can get food from many different type of places, or you just call the local pizza place, kind of a thing. So the local pizza place, the one place, is a captive agent who represents only one insurance company and who is in effect an employee of that company. Not necessarily true, because we're independent contractors, but you can only offer insurance from one company. Independent, you have as many companies as you can make arrangements with. Claims adjuster, that's just somebody, insurance specialist, who works for an insurance company as an independent adjuster, and they just go out and just kind of verify damage and look at the claims and make sure that everything looks on the up and up. There's nothing kind of fishy going on with the claim, because they will check, and if you get an accident, they'll ask you, they'll ask the other person, they'll have a claims adjuster go out, just make sure that because there's a lot of insurance fraud out there. So claims adjusters kind of work in conjunction with insurance companies, because none of them work for, some of them are independent. That's it. All right, that was chapter 10. Any questions? Feel free to reach out to me, either my Citrus email, Jim Douceur, or J Douceur, letter J Douceur, at citruscollege.edu, or my Chapman one, which is DUSSERRE at chapman.edu. All right, have a great day. Bye.